Good morning and welcome to Southern Bout 2024. We got our round 2 and our day 2 all-action cut highlights for you here. Kolbey, are you excited to announce for this?
I'm really excited to announce for this. Watching this live was absolutely thrilling and breathtaking watching these drivers go head-to-head.
Top 16, we're going to start off with Jason Webb and Chris Kutz. Jason Webb leading and Chris Kutz in chase. Jason Webb was on fire all day long with that snappy initiation. Chris definitely didn't have a lot of the power to keep up with Jason as he kind of drags him down through the touch-and-go alley, snapping back and forth, hauling on that brake, snapping on that handbrake, trying to carry it through this hairpin corner. You can see Chris shallowing up a little bit, just trying to get onto Jason's door. Jason snaps back over, comes through this outer zone 2. Stellar job by Jason. Look at the angle he's maintaining, the smoke he's pouring out. Hauling back on that e-brake, slowing down for the final hairpin, filling up that final zone, and across the line they go. Jason Webb with a beautiful lead on that run. Snapping back over, Chris Kutz leading now, Jason Webb in chase. Chris is going to do everything in his power to try to drag away from Jason, but Jason has the power and the grip hooked up in that Mustang chassis there. Beautiful job from Jason to maintain good proximity. Chris doing everything he can. I don't even think Jason's trying to stick on his door that much. He's just got all that power. We got one touch and a second touch slamming into the quarter panel of Chris Kutz, and Jason Webb will take the win for that first round. Next up, we got Ricky, Slicky, and J-Bro going at it here. Ricky Slicky off with the first lead. J-Bro chasing. J-Bro's hard launch off that line, trying to keep up with Rick. Rick's going to snap it into this first corner here, filling up that first outer zone. J-Bro's hauling on that left foot brake, trying to keep that angle nice and sideways. Ricky's carrying it nice and through, hard and fast to the touch-and-go alley. But J-Bro with an insane dive bomb coming into the hairpin, trying to get on Ricky's door. Rick's going to snap back over for the second outer zone. J-Bro's still there with him. Doesn't get lost in the smoke, carrying it through outer zone 2. Snap back over for the final touch-and-go. Fill up that quick touch-and-go. Final through the hairpin. And across the line we go. What a beautiful battle that was.
It was really good to watch these two go at it. They've been driving together for a long time, and it shows that they're able to read each other really well.
We're going to switch it around. J-Bro leading, Rick Slicky behind. J-Bro with a great handbrake initiation, keeping it smooth and under control. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. He knows he needed a little bit of lacking on that last run. Coming through the touch-and-go alley, Ricky's kind of starting to fall back a little bit, but he might just know that J-Bro had a couple mistakes. J-Bro almost dropping into the dirt, hanging on that outer edge. Beautiful job done by J-Bro, but here comes Ricky down the inside, sitting on that door, a little flame pop. I think he might have stalled it out a little bit there. J-Bro snapping back through, coming around the final corner, but Rick's back there, and we're going one more time.
Hey, Owen, you're really excited about it one more time, weren't you? I know it's good driving and all, but
I don't know what happened there. I got so excited I got a lump in my throat. Next up, we got Justin Dubet and Connor Chura. Dubet leading this time. Chura's trying his absolute best to keep up with him, but he's pushing that SR to the maximum he can, but it's hard to keep up with that twin-turboed LS. Connor Chura's an amazing driver, but Dubet is dragging him down this front straightaway, definitely using all the power under the hood of that V8. Coming through the hairpin, Chura kind of gets lost in the frame here, according to JC quoting, "Chura, I love you." Dubet snapping it through the touch-and-go, hitting up the outer zone, filling up that outer zone beautifully. We had to stop chasing Dubet there just to follow Chura to show you guys that beautiful little S chassis. As Dubet comes to the final corner and across the line, almost no competition there, but again, Chura is an amazing driver. I love you, Connor. What do you think about the crowd, Kolbey?
the crowd was really good. It was like, I don't even know how to count that high, how many people we had, but man, they were fun to deal with. They had a rowdy time. I think everyone enjoyed themselves here.
I think they definitely enjoyed this lead run from Connor Chura because he did everything he possibly could. Snapping that little S chassis in there, maintaining a nice conservative line coming through the first outer zone. See if he can choke up Dubet a little bit with a lack of power. Hitting the touch and go. Ali snapping back, slow it down. Dubet is getting a little rough out of shape and cutting the corner as Connor Chura goes shallow there. Coming through the touch and go 3. Snap back around for outer zone and Chura loops it and Dubet takes that one.
It was really good to watch these two run, but I gotta say, Dubet, you owe me 2 bags of soil.
That is some truth. Dubet definitely tore up the soil the most. But next up, we got Ryan Drutz and Nico Sexy Savoie. Ryan Drutz completed that first outer zone. Beautiful job. Savoie sticking with him. Ryan Drutz piles it on the brakes, and Savoie is able to close the gap. Ryan Drutz almost drops a tire there alongside Nico. Coming through touch and go 4. Snap back around for outer zone 2. Filling up outer zone 2. Beautiful job done by Ryan Drutz there. Nico trying to keep with him. Maintaining decent angle and an alright proximity. A little bit far away as we come to the final corner, and across the line they go. What do you think about that first run there? That was pretty good.
Really good. I really like Drutz's lead, and let's see what Nico could do. He came here to do 2 things, and one of them was to drive fast. I can't say the other one.
That's some truth. He did say some funky words in front of the crowd that we will not be able to repeat. But Nico Savoie doing a beautiful job through this first outer zone. Ryan Drutz is a little bit lacking coming into the first corner there. Coming through the touch and go alley, hitting touch and go 3, 2, slowing down. Coming out of this hairpin here, hitting through touch and go 3. We're going to swing back around for outer zone 2. A nice stable snap back around to fill up the zone. Moderate angle. Ryan Drutz is right there with Nico Savoie. Snap back through the final touch and go as they come through the final corner. Ryan Drutz cut in the corner a little bit while Nico runs across the rumble strips and across the line they go. That was a pretty decent battle there.
Pretty good, pretty good. We'll say he looks like he had a brick on that gas pedal there.
That's some truth. Nico definitely does have a brick. Paul Gracie with the massive lineup and run up in the chase because he knows he's a little bit lower horsepower in this lineup. Mr. Gabe, the flying Frenchman, flying through outer zone 1, starting to really drag Paul a little bit. Paul, we love you, brother, but you need to get some more power in that thing. Where's the 6-liter, dog? Gabe is going as hard as he can, and Paul just shuts it down as Gabe comes through the final touch or third touch and go, snapping through this outer zone 2. Coming to the final touch and go. Paul is completely out of frame now. Coming through the final corner and across the line they go. You know, there was Where's Waldo, but I think this is Where's Paul.
Yeah, it was really good to see Gabe get 3 qualifying runs out there today.
Paul's definitely going to be pretty upset with us, especially with the accidental 80 that was spat out over the mic. He wasn't too happy about that one, but here comes Paul in the lead. Gabe isn't really too concerned about sticking in Paul's door. He had a beautiful woman there with him the entire weekend being his spotter. I think it might have been his girlfriend. Sorry if I'm wrong, Gabe. But here comes Paul flying through the touch and go. He was really able to pick up speed, but so was Gabe. Gabe almost got lost in the smoke. Paul with the beautiful driver strategies. Gabe had to cut the corner, almost dropping a tire as he comes to touch and go 3. Snap back around for outer zone 2. Not too much angle, a little bit slow. I think Gabe struggled to keep behind him a little bit there, but snapping back to touch and go 4 and coming to the final corner. Paul did absolutely everything he could with that tiny little 4.8 under the hood.
I will say I liked Paul a lot better in this run. He did a lot less landscaping than Gabe, but hey, victory goes to Gabe on this one.
I think Paul just told Gabe there that was no competition for me. But, yeah, there was some beef between Paul and Gabe in the driver's meeting, but it didn't really work out too well. But anyways, next up we got Ricky Slicky with J-Bro again, the one more time battle you all been waiting for. Ricky doing a beautiful job coming through this first outer zone. J-Bro sticking right there on his bumper with him, dropping 1 tire. Is he going to drop another? Yes, he does. Stratotech was definitely not too happy with us with all the ground keeping we had to do. But coming back to the final outer zone here as they're filling up this outer zone section. J-Bro sticking right with him, dropping a tire again, launching a few gravels towards the stands. I think some people took some rocks home, but that's okay. Coming to the final corner and across the line they go for their first one more time run. That wasn't too bad, well, was it?
No, it wasn't too bad. Only about a bag of soil.
Just a couple bags of soil, but that's all right. We're going to go back to the action here. J-Bro with a nice handbrake drag again, nice and conservative, holding and maintaining a decent angle. Ricky right there with him, though, kind of sticking on his door coming through that outer zone 1. Can he mimic it again as he come through the hairpin here? J-Bro drops 2 tires coming out of the hairpin. A little bit wiggly across that touch and go. Snap back over for the second outer zone, getting himself back under and composed. As we fly through outer zone 2, snap back over for touch and go 4. And coming through the final corner here, Ricky's right there with them, cutting that corner. Man, is that looking browner and browner every time we go by.
It was pretty funny to watch Ricky do the jazz hands there, driving the car, trying to get it through the touch and go alley.
There was definitely some jazz hands. I do apologize for all the groundkeeping talk. I really had to let Rick know that he caused the most of it, alongside Dubet. Next up, we got Marco and Brett Alexander. Marco with a nice snap initiation coming into the first corner here. As we fill up this outer zone, Brett's a little bit lacking on the proximity aspect of it. Marco flying through the touch and goes, hauling on that left foot brake, hauling on that e-brake. Just barely making it around the corner without dropping a tire. Hitting touch and go 3. Snap back around for outer zone 2. Brett's slowly getting further and further behind. Can he keep it in frame? Yes, he's still in frame. Snap through touch and go 4. And around the final corner we go and across the line. I still can't believe Brett was on 225s the entire weekend.
Yeah, man, he could have used a little bit of my weight to get it up in tire size, but hey, I guess the skinny ones are better for him in this case.
Brett definitely does like the skinny ones, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, we're back to the action now. Coming through outer zone 1, Marcos right there on him. Had to slow it down and check him up a little bit. Doesn't want to hit Brett in that beautiful E36. Look at the angle that Brett snaps into the hairpin. Maintaining a better line than Marco did, not dropping a tire. Hitting touch and go 3. Snap back around with an outer zone 2 with the beautiful flick. Maintaining gorgeous angle as Marco sits there right on his door. Snapping back to the touch and go 4 with a little bit of a barrier knockout. Dropping 2 tires though, but here goes Marco straightening a little bit, and across the line we go. That was some messy.
Yeah, it really was. That E36 turned into a mulcher real quick on that one, but hey, shout out to Brett, came up from grassroots up for competition, very short notice, and did pretty well.
That is true, but we're back to the action now. Mark Dunbar and Justin Cuglietti, or also known as Justin Blows Too Many Engines, snap through the touch-and-go alley here. We're going to be hauling down the brakes. Mark Dunbar with a beautiful style. The Cookie Man. Cuglietti shuts it down coming through the first hairpin, and all Mark has to do is complete this run. Nice and moderate angle through outer zone 2. Just keep it steady, Mark. Don't drop it off the track. Almost nailing that barrier wall there that we set up. Thanks, Shad. And across the line we go. Snapping it back around. Josh is going to be leading this time. Mark Dunbar and Chase. Cuglietti with a nice, decent run off the line. Mark knows that he doesn't have to drive too hard as Cuglietti shut it down in this first run. Cuglietti with a beautiful... Man, that car's some soft over that bump. A little bit bouncy there. Snapping through the touch and goes. Hauling down on the brakes. Mark maintaining not too much proximity with him, but Cuglietti goes off the track. He's trying to keep it on with him. Snapping it around the outer zone 2. Trying to get there, trying to complete the corner. Really slow compared to Mark Dunbar. Mark having to check up really hard not to slam into the door of Cuglietti. Slowing it down for the final corner. 1 tire drop, 2 tire drops from both of the guys. And across the line we go. Fun fact, what did Josh do after this run?
Yeah, during his loser burnouts, he blew up his engine.
He did indeed. But that's all right because we love loser and winner burnouts. Yeah, I think it was the 3rd one this year. But next up we got Pat Fontaine and Ofir Dracula Braun. We did mock Ofir a little bit on his runs before recording this, so we do apologize, Ofir. But he did a good job. Kolbey doesn't. But anyways, back to the action. Slowing down. Pat Fontaine here. Ofir Braun straightening a little bit, coming through the hairpin. Pat's kind of starting to drag away. Pat maintaining good angle through outer zone 2 as he carries it on far out with the hand in the air. Is that even legal? I don't think that's legal. Coming through the final corner and across the line, Ofir was able to regain some proximity. I think Pat was a little too focused on his showmanship. Ofir Braun leading this time by, and Pat Fontaine in chase. Ofir's bouncing through the gears as he's launching that JZ as fast as he can. Pat with a V8 behind him. Hopping on the left foot brake a little bit. You see the smoke coming from there, trying to maintain that angle that Ofir's holding. Flying through the touch-and-go alley. Almost a straight in there from Ofir as he slams on the brakes, trying to slow it down for the hairpin. Pat Fontaine drops it, straightens up, and shuts it down a little bit temporarily through our touch-and-go 3. Ofir's still maintaining decent angle through outer zone 2. All he needs to do is complete this run. I think he's got the advantage right now. Pat Fontaine mimicking it from behind him, and we're going one more time.
I will say it was pretty funny watching Ofir start doing loser burnouts before he even found out he had to do it one more time.
Ofir did do loser burnouts before he knew he had to do one more time. But back to the action now again. Pat Fontaine flying through outer zone 1. Dragging Ofir along the straightaway here for touch-and-go alley. Slamming on the brakes, but almost dropping a tire, but maintaining the edge. Hitting touch-and-go 3, snap back around for outer zone 2. I love this carousel. It is so beautiful to watch from the stands. Slow it down through touch-and-go 4. Dropping a front tire. Ofir straightens a little bit, coming through the final corner, and across the line we go. Switching it back up again as it's another one more time battle. Ofir Braun leading this time. Pat Fontaine really jumping the gun there. I think he's scared of the JZ a little bit. Ofir with a nice handbrake initiation, filling up that first outer zone. Pat Fontaine's there with him though. Flying to the touch and go. You got to build up that speed and then immediately haul on the brakes to slow it right back down. But here comes Pat Fontaine a little bit too deep and he drops 3 tires into the dirt as Ofir drags away. Coming through the outer zone, a little bit shallow Ofir is. He had many excuses for that, but we just told him it was a lack of commitment. Coming through touch and go 4, slowing it right down to the final corner and across the line. Almost Pat Fontaine with a little bit of a quarter pedal tap as they go across the line. Who won that one? That's right, Ofir. This is the first time Ofir has made it past the round 16 in a bout series. We partied pretty hard. He was offended at first, but I was very happy for him.
Would be really good to see Ofir commit as much to the runs as Pat did to the dirt on that one.
That is true. Jason Webb leading this time with Ricky Slicky. Jason Webb reading Rick Slick as we come through the touch-and-go alley, piling on the brakes. Jason Webb was able to maintain a beautiful angle all weekend long. Rick dropping 1 tire coming to the touch-and-go 3. Fling it back around for outer zone 2 as we're filling up outer zone 2. Look at the smoke pouring out the back of that Mustang. Jason was legitimately on fire the entire weekend. As we come across the final corner, Ricky was still there with him. Sorry, I'm just so mesmerized by that South African's driving style. 3-time champ, by the way. Rick leading Jason this time. Rick in that gorgeous S-chassis with the fantastic sparkly roof. It really distracts my ADHD a lot. Shallow coming through the first outer zone as we fly through the touch and go. Pile it down on the brakes after you build up all that speed, all that work for what? To slow down and come around the hairpin and hit touch and go 3. Jason Webb holding a nice, decent proximity while Ricky shows off his true style, which is flicky, slicky, Ricky. As we fill up outer zone 2, slowing it down for touch and go 4 as we come around the final corner, and Jason's there with him, losing a couple pieces of his body panels, and across the line we go.
It was really fun to watch this battle. Rick definitely let his presence be known, especially with the lower horsepower, and he did it really well and looked good doing it, buddy.
Justin Dubet leading Ryan Drutz here. Dubet with a snappy initiation, as he always does. Drutz trying to stay with him. I think he's a little bit lacking in the proximity, but as we come through the touch and go, here comes Ryan Drutz with a dive bomb and slight contact on Dubet, sending Dubet off the course, dropping all 4 tires. Drutz shuts it down because he thinks that Dubet's not going to come back on the track, but Doo does what he does best. Fills up outer zone 2, completing his run, slamming through the touch and go. As you can see that toe strap hanging, I totally thought that was his roll bar the entire time. Flying across the line comes Dubet.
It was really good to watch Dubet get back on track, especially after yard sailing it.
Dubet did definitely tear up the track the most and cost us the most money in soil rebuild, but that's alright. Ryan Drutz leading this time. Dubet's going to stick with him. I thought Dubet was going to get revenge on Ryan Drutz the entire time, but he dropped a couple tires there coming through the touch and go. Ryan Drutz piling on the brakes, dropping a tire. So does Dubet coming through touch and go 3. Swing it back around for outer zone 2. Dubet's trying to catch back up now. Doo has the greatest commitment I have ever seen as Ryan Drutz flies through touch and go 4, piling it on the brakes. And again, Dubet's tearing up our grass that we had to pay for. That really sucked.
Dubet seemed to want revenge on Drutz, but I think he just took revenge on our lawn.
That is true. He did take a lot of revenge on our lawn, but next up we got the Flying Frenchman and Marco Tassone. I definitely think that was a little bit of a strategy there from Gabe, the Flying Frenchman, to choke up Marco. Gabe throwing smoke out of that little BRZ. I never knew a BRZ could be so fast as we're flying through the touch and go alley here, but slowing all that pace back down. But Marco's right there with them in that triple SS chassis. As Gabe flies through this hairpin, coming through touch and go 3, snap back around for outer zone 2. Marco's still there, sticking with them. Look at the roof scoop on top of Marco's car. I actually asked Aaron Day if that was functional. We don't really know yet. Gabe takes out the walls, and Marco shuts it down as Gabe comes across the line.
Marco definitely took his own route on this one. Wanted to do a little bit of sightseeing, and didn't find him on the track until about 3 minutes later.
Marco did do a lot of sightseeing. We did lose him when we were wondering where he was, but he's okay, and now we're going for the switch around. Marco leading this time with Gabe chasing. There was a little bit of frustration from Gabe after this run, and you'll see why. Marco dragged him through the touch and goes, piling it back down on the brakes, snapping around the hairpin, hitting touch and go 3. Fly it back around for outer zone 2. Gabe had a drop right down shallow, trying to maintain decent proximity, but not too much proximity, especially after Marco shut it down on the last run. But moving on to the next round will be Gabriel Bevrouge. I murdered that, Gabe. I'm sorry.
It was definitely good to see these two drivers. A lot of talent between them.
Mark Dunbar leading Ofir Braun. The two 881 boys going at it. Mark Dunbar in the S chassis and Ofir Braun in the BMW. Japan versus Germany. They were once allies and now they're enemies. Mark slams it on the brakes with the touch and go, and Ofir straightens hard coming into the hairpin. Coming through touch and go 3. Mark pouring out the smoke of that S chassis. Fresh rebuild, by the way. Beautiful sounding car. Beautiful, beautiful. Flying through touch and go 4. Slowing it right down for the final corner. Ofir's right back there with him, using all of that wide stab as he can, and they come across the line.
Really good to see Ofir get out there and chase with Mark. They've been driving together a long time, so great success.
Great success indeed. Ofir Braun with a long e-brake drag into there, going a little shallow, trying to hit the end of the outer zone to fill it right up. Mark Dunbar there with him. These boys used to tail at scales, and now they're back on track together again. Ofir slowing it right down, but drops a tire. Mark doesn't. Coming through touch and go 3, snap back around. Where's Mark Dunbar? There's Drift Jesus. Coming out of the smoke, appearing out just like how Jesus appeared out of the tomb. As we slow down for touch and go 4, Mark's still there with Ofir Braun. Ofir's pushing that JZ to the maximum as he can, and Mark's screaming at LS across the line.
Really good to watch these two drivers drive together at Southern Bout. They've been driving together a long time through the team and everything like that, so it's good to see them actually throw it together in competition.
Now we're moving on to Jason Webb and Justin Dubet. Jason Webb piling it down, coming through the hairpin turn there. Doobie-Doo's right there with him as he drops the tires to the touch and go. Look at the angle that Jason Webb absolutely snaps. Coming through the final corner here, Dubet trying to catch up with Jason Webb, but Jason Webb's on fire today. Justin Dubet leading this time by Jason Webb and Chase. Dubet with a snappy initiation as he always does, carrying through the outer zone. Jason Webb trying to stay as close as he can to Dubet because Dubet had a stellar chase run until he dropped that tire, but that's alright. We're slowing it down for the hairpin now. Dubet dropping the front tire, dropping the rears. Man, Dubet, you owe us money for that grass, baby. Flying through outer zone 2. Jason's still there with him. Is he going to get lost in the smoke? I don't think so, because here comes Jason Webb diving into the final corner as they come across the line. You can't even see it through all the smoke.
Dubet, I just want to say, start your own landscaping company because you definitely know how to mulch it all up, my buddy. Drift Easy Landscaping, coming at you 2025.
Drift Easy Landscaping does actually sound like a great landscaping company, but next up we got the Flying Frenchman up against Mark Dunbar. And Chase here, Drift Jesus, gonna chase as hard as he can. Gab's got a lot of power into that BRZ and a lot less weight than that S-Chassis does as they're flying through outer zone 1. Gabe is absolutely gunning it down the touch-and-go alley. Piling it back down on the brakes, so slowing it right back down. Here comes Mark Dunbar, almost lost in the smoke, but Mark Dunbar can see through the smoke because he is Drift Jesus. Flying through outer zone 2 comes Gabe the Flying Frenchman. That's why I call him the Flying Frenchman. He's pretty good at what he does. Flying through touch and go 4, slam it back down on the brakes as they come around the final corner and across the line they go. Wow. That was amazing. Great drive, Gabe and Mark both. Mark switching it this time though. He's leading, Gabe chasing. Mark Dummer's going to be giving it everything he's got. He know Gabe put down an amazing lead run there. Gabe's going to be gunning a little bit short on the first outer zone here, trying to get up on Mark's door. Mark's flying to the touch and go, and here comes Gabe, the Flying Frenchman, slowing it right down into the hairpin there, trying to get right up nice and close to Mark. Mark almost dumping a couple tires off in the hairpin, flying through touch and go 3, snap back around for outer zone 2. We're filling up outer zone 2 perfectly. Hear those screaming V8s with all the smoke pouring out of those American-made muscle machines. Coming through the final corner and across the line we go.
Hey, Gab, the 3 barriers, you owe us for that. We'll send you the receipt, my buddy. Good driving.
True, that's definitely true. Sorry, I got distracted by Gabe's amazing hairline. We're heading into the semifinals now. Mark Dunbar leading Justin Dubet. Mark Dunbar flying through the outer zone. 2 homies going head-to-head as we fly through the touch and goes here. Mark with a naturally aspirated V8 and Doobie-Doo with the twin-turbo V8. Dubet was definitely having a hard time slowing it down all weekend long, but he slowed it down that time around, and that just shows Dubet's skill. He's just so good. But so is Mark Dunbar as he's blowing all this smoke. Snap around for the touch and go 4, and coming to the final corner, Dubet almost smokes him and drops a tire again. Dubet, I just talked all this good stuff about you dropping more tires, buddy. Come on! Dubet leading this time by Mark Dunbar and Chase as we're flying through the outer zones one more time. Dubet with the beautiful stellar smoke. Sorry, I get starstruck by that super sometimes. Slowing down into the hairpin. Dunbar's a little bit far behind him, but Dubet drops one front tire coming into the corner and a tire coming out of it. Flying through the outer zone and throwing all the gravel at everybody. Hitting the drones a couple times and actually hit a few of us in the stands. It wasn't the greatest time ever, but that's okay because Dubet flies it off the course. Just cannot get that car to slow down whatsoever. It's got too much power, and here comes Mark Dunbar.
So that's where those tire marks came from.
Alright, get ready everybody, because now it's your final battle. Jason Webb and the Flying Frenchman. Little heifer waiting for the command. He got the command. Gun fingers up, and away we go. Jason Webb, the South Africans, gave the Flying Frenchman. Look at the snap initiation from Jason Webb. He had an insane initiation all weekend long as he's dragging it all the way out through the outer zone. Lots of smoke pouring out. Gabe's getting a little bit lost in the smoke. It's really hard to see behind that Mustang. As we're flying through, Gabe cuts the hairpin a little bit, kind of getting wiggly, kind of getting wobbly, as Jason's staying smooth and strong and consistent. Lots of angle, lots of smoke. Throwing it through the final touch and goes, we're piling it down on the brakes, but here comes Gabe the Flying Frenchman back on the inside, and across the line we go.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate how much that Mustang just sags as soon as it gets into the touch and goes in the power alley?
I know, it's absolutely insane. It looks so ratty for a brand new Mustang, but it's got way too much power. But we're going to switch it around now. Gabe leading Jason Webb. Gabe knew he had to give the drive of his life here, and the drive of his life did he ever give. slowing it right down, but here comes Jason Webb on the inside, almost touching the door of Gabe, the flying Frenchman, coming to the touch and go 3. Snap back around for the outer zone 2. Gabe is giving it everything he's got, showing the South African how we drive over in Quebec. Flying through touch and go 4, almost missing the corner, flying through this last corner, and across the line we go with the bumper hanging, baby.
What did he even hit, man? Like, there's nothing over there.
The flying Frenchman with his precision, smacking those cones down. Here comes Doo with his funny little dance.
He doesn't even know what to do with his hands.
But here is your podium for Southern Bout 2024. In third place comes Mark Dunbar. And your winner of 2024 Southern Bout will be Jason Webb. And the Gabe, the flying Frenchman, coming in second place. Stellar drive from all of the boys today, wouldn't you say, Kolbey?
Yeah, man, it was a great time to watch all these drivers that have driven for years together or never driven at all together, really throw down and have some fun out there.
Come on, gentlemen, spray that champagne. We spent a good chunk of change on that. Yeah, hose it down. Hold our events organizer down as well. JC running away from Gabe. What a weekend it was overall. Thank you for Southern Bout 2024, and we can't wait to see you next year.